I started my journey 15 years ago with this brand, and at the time I didn't know of Harder Steenbeck, and it's just such an honour to be here 15 years later in my career, be invited to the place where they make them and see how these brushes are made. It's just incredible. It's good to come full circle, starting out with them 13, 14 years ago and then being part of it under the roof where they're made. It's just brilliant. Hi, my name is Rob. I go by the name DRED FX Custom Paint. I first got into airbrushing, it was around 14 to 15 years ago. I was at my mother-in-law's house, went round for dinner, and I seen a piece of artwork that was on their conservatory wall, and really liked the piece of art that was done, and thought, is this painted? I didn't know anything about airbrushing at the time, and it was a signature in the bottom corner of the actual artist's name. So I contacted the artist, and he was an airbrush artist, and I started doing lessons with this artist. Did about two lessons with him, and then got my first airbrush, and just sort of after that self-taught. Locked myself away in a shed at the top of the garden with a dim light and a little workstation, and I just had to go at painting everything and anything, whether it was fabric, plastic, bike tanks. I just had to go at all them sort of pieces. Because I could draw, I didn't sort of go art school or anything like that. I could sketch. So to me it felt like sketching. And you've just got such a variety of things you can do with that tool. You can use it like a pencil and sketch, so you can put wider volumes of paint down. It's just a great tool to work with, it really is. It's therapeutic, relaxing, and you just get into a zone when you've got the brush in your hand, put some music on, and you just paint and get creative. I tend to look at airbrush artists, we're very good, I'd say copy artists. We get inspiration from other people, whether it be pictures via Google. If I get commission work and I say to the customer, give me as much information as you can on what subject you're after, I say send me loads of pictures, I'll study the pictures, and then I'll put something together. I'll take a piece from that one, make the image how I see it, and then just go with that, and then just work off of that, and then break that image down. I sort of break an image down into layers. It can be like a sketched outline, and then I'll just sort of layer it up. If I need really sharp edges and things like that, I can use masks to get real sharp lines, but then I tend to mix a lot of soft tones in as well. So I put the sharps and the softs together and sort of create my own style, not too sharp or not too soft. A lot of airbrushing you see is soft. That's how it's usually done, is very, very soft. But I tend to mix it up and make my own sort of style, mixing the sharps and the softs together to create the image. The biggest one I had to do was, I worked in the sign industry for 6 years with a really good family. And I know I grew up with sort of like the sun, and my mentor that taught me the sign industry was also a very, very creative man, and he passed away last year with cancer. And they said, his wife said, would you paint Airbrush's coffin? And that was the hardest thing I've ever had to paint, because painting the images around that coffin, every image was emotional, and it was so hard to get into the zone and paint it, because every image I was going through, the thoughts of that person, because I had that connection with that person, and it was just very eerie to do, having a coffin in your studio and then working around, putting all these images on that the family wanted, that were related to him. That was just a big, big thing. It brought all the family to tears. I was also a coffin bearer, so I had to carry the coffin in, and everybody's face when they seen it, they were just brought to tears, because it was just all photorealistic pieces of what the images were through his life, whether it be animals, places that he'd been with his wife. And it was like, yeah, it was a big relief to see it finished, an achievement. Very, very mentally draining. It took me a week to do it. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping because I was going to bed at night, permanently on my mind on what I had to do the next day. I was setting myself tasks to get an image done per day. So it was 5-6 hours each day on an image, working round the actual piece. Yeah, very, very tiring. We paint pictures and things sort of off the cuff, and we can paint things. But when you do personal things for people, of lost pets, family members, it's really challenging, because you've got to get that right, because it's that family person that's passed, and they know what they look like, and you don't know them, and you're just trying to get it so spot on. So it can be tough, can be very challenging. I always say now, for beginners, if you can go on a course with a professional that can guide you. Being self-taught, mainly I was self-taught, it's a hard road, but they always say you learn by your mistakes. It's a good road because you really do challenge yourself, and you learn the hard way. But if you can get the tuition, I'd advise do it, because it will make your journey a lot easier. And always stay clinical with your brush and clinical with your work. Clean brush, you'll get clean work. And just keep in mind, once you've finished your piece, break your brush down, clean it, put it back. Every time, just keep your work as clean as possible. Corey St. Clair is a big inspiration. His airbrush work, love his airbrush work, his style, the way he paints. Steve Driscoll was another one, sadly passed. A lot of American artists, because it's more seen, it's bigger in other countries, you tend to follow where it's bigger. I think in the UK, the scene of airbrushing is sort of like, it's always sort of been just tickling along. But there's loads. I've met David that was just interviewed. After seeing his work, it is like, wow, got to keep in touch with this guy, because he's a big inspiration. I like the way he paints, the style, the way he does it. So yeah, meeting new people and just getting other styles, it just keeps you fresh, because you can get stagnant with airbrushing. And if you lose your creativity, which you do, artists do, it's always good to just keep, I always say, in your studio, have a change up, always change your artwork and change it up. So when you go into a fresh studio, you're seeing new things on the wall, it keeps your creative spark going, things like that. Yes, there is doing trainers, shoes, things like that, clothing. Really want to get into doing that. And I also want to get into doing welding. I want to start doing welding sculptures and then put the airbrushing into that and start creating things with like steel and then just putting the paint to that as well. So that'll be a bit more automotive again, but just creating my own pieces in metalwork and painting them up. Absolutely. I started my journey 15 years ago with this brand, and at the time I didn't know of Harder Steenbeck until I picked the brush up and seen the logo on the side, and then I knew who they were. So I started with their brushes, going through my journey, and it's just such an honour to be here 15 years later in my career, be invited to the place where they make them, and then you go round on a tour and see how these brushes are made. It's just incredible. The work that goes into these, and just the cleanliness of every station, it's just so precision, it really is. And that's why I've always raved about them. And it's good to come full circle, starting out with them 13, 14 years ago, and then being part of it, under the roof where they're made. It's just brilliant. I honestly can't see that. I really can't see how there can be a problem with it. Just seeing how the care and attention to detail on every station with every person that's doing their piece, when this goes out, there just can't be a fault. There really can't. They're just precision. Precision engineering from Germany. It always has been though, hasn't it? I always say, go under the right umbrella, this one. Go under the right umbrella and pick the right brush up. You want something that is easy to get along with, easy to strip down if there's a problem and put back together. And these are the brushes that do it. I've never had dramas with these painting. They're a brush that you can pick up, chuck paint in, get on with. They're easy to clean, easy to strip down. It just makes your journey easier. And that's what you want. You don't want to be struggling. So a bit of tuition, pick the right brush up, and you'll be good to go. Best place to find me is YouTube, DRED FX Custom Paint. Instagram will be up and running. Facebook, I've got an account on Facebook, which is DRED FX Custom Paint as well, so you can get me on there. Little updates and things, sort of pictures of like new stuff that I'm working on, they're sort of always posted, but mainly YouTube. It's beginners pieces, so if you're looking at starting out, you'll have introduction videos for beginners, showing you the airbrush, how to break it down, clean it, troubleshooting. You get step-by-step guides on like portraits, automotive painting, from airbrush painting, automotive to spray guns. So the right process of going through filler work, primer work, base coat, clear coat, how to polish clear coats. It's all on there. Anything that I can put paint on and spray on, it's on the channel, guys.